Remember during that panel, they were saying that it's best to have two people because if you have just one, you kind of sound like you're crazy. So I was thinking, maybe you want to contribute a little bit back and forth so you can have two people on. Yeah, I know you don't have a mic, but I'm just saying so we can have like a conversation and so it won't just sound like it's just me. Okay, point taken. Because you don't have a mic, it's going to sound like I'm still just talking to myself. Okay, yeah, I get that. Look, you got money for a mic? I mean, I ain't got it. So if you want to go back and forth, you're going to have to buy yourself a mic. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe people should buy some more 1776united.com or some oggapparel.com, and then maybe we can afford to get you a mic. Until then, yeah, I guess, yeah, you're right. It's just going to sound like I'm talking to myself. So, and let's start the show.
From the highways of America, here's the podcast where we talk politics, a little entertainment, some culture, and this and that from the road to your ears. This is Trend Chat with your host, Brian Bledsoe.
And welcome to another episode of Trend Chat. I am your host, Brian Bledsoe. And if you want to connect with us, whether on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Snapchat, it's all the same name, Trend Chat 24/7. So apparently you, all that was listening, were privy to a little bit of behind the scenes here at Trend Chat. So, because of that, I didn't get to tell you what we're going to talk about. But if you see the title of this podcast, which is actually something we normally don't do. We normally do the podcast and then think of the title. But this time, we already know what the title is going to be. So the title of this podcast is, What is it like to be a black conservative? And to answer that question, since that's going to be the name of the podcast, not much, because I don't really think much else about it. So I guess we'll just go on to something else. But yeah, I'm going to get more into it. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be your typical, I guess, what you normally hear when people talk about being a black conservative. But it kind of stems from what I did with Blaze TV, which was now released on Facebook on Chad Prather's show on Blaze TV. And I spoke for a couple of minutes talking about what it's like to be a black conservative. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that particular thing and also just some other things surrounding that. But before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about Captain Marvel. Get your words out clearly, Brian. So we saw Captain Marvel last week, and so we're going to talk about that. And it's funny because this is being recorded on Thursday, March 14th, and the new Avengers Endgame trailer came out this morning. And yeah, I mean, not going to talk too much about that. We may have another episode, kind of like what we did last year about when we were getting close to Infinity War, and talk about that. Maybe, I don't know. But before I even get to that, because I kind of wanted to give an intro, because I didn't give you an intro because I was too busy trying to. Anyway, before we get into that, we just had a vote on the president's national emergency, and the Senate passed to not have to do away with the national emergency. I'm trying to think about it off the top of my head because I didn't post any articles about it, but they essentially basically said that they will block the president's national emergency on the border. So now the president replied, basically saying that he's going to veto that vote, and so we'll have to go from there. Now, the thing about all of this is, I don't care if if you're mad about whether you support it or not or whatnot. My thing is that, look, Republicans had 2 years of majority in both houses to do something about the border, and they failed. They didn't do anything or anything of substance. Let's put it that way. I'm pretty sure that someone will mention like, well, they did this or that, but nothing that really means much, really, in the long term, especially. So now that the Democrats are in the control of the House, and it's a lot harder to get anything passed, let alone something that's controversial as border security, which shouldn't be controversial, but that's just what it is. I mean, anything that the president wants, I don't care what it is, will be controversial because the Democrats don't want to do anything that would be perceived as giving the president any win of any sort. So anyway, given that the Republicans basically missed their opportunity in the past 2 years, and now wanting to, whether it's declaring a national emergency or executive orders or whatever, I'm not expecting anything substantial that or long term to happen to stop illegal immigration, at least until after 2020, at least. So whatever goes on right now, even if the president vetoes this and it goes to the courts and all that, it's gonna mean little to nothing, really, in the long term. Maybe something may happen to where something gets built, or maybe a little bit of money goes here, a little bit of money goes there, or something like that. But in the long term, the issue of illegal immigration will just continue to move along, mainly because of the failure of the Republicans in the past 2 years. And now, who knows what's going to happen in 2020 and beyond. So, look, they had the opportunity, and they squandered it. And so now we're where we're at now, where we're just basically trying to do anything to solve an issue I believe it's a national emergency. But think about it, I think it's been a national emergency for not just the past couple of years. It's been an emergency for years, decades. So it's not, I won't say it's not immediate because it's been going on for so long. But just because it's been going on for so long don't mean it's not an emergency. But the way that we're going about it now, it's a mess. So, but enough about that. I know one thing, most people didn't even have probably didn't even care about this whole vote that went down, because they were just glad that Facebook and Instagram was back. Because yesterday, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, anything that was connected to Facebook was basically, it just crashed, I guess, put it that way. And people were just losing their mind. And I mean, I know for me, I tried to post something on Instagram earlier, probably around 12 or whatever, and I saw it wasn't uploading or whatnot. And I tried it again and didn't work. And so I just thought I was in a bad area, which was true. I was in an area where I didn't have a strong cell signal, so I thought that was the problem. And then I just left it alone and just went down the road and didn't think much else about it. And then when I stopped again, about a couple of hours later, I tried it again, and then okay, something's up. And so normally when something like this happens, I guess put it like this, whenever one of the platforms are down, I go to the other platform and see what they're saying. So if Facebook is down, I go to Twitter and just, and it just showed up. You go on Twitter, hashtag Facebook down or Facebook crash or whatever. So then I'm like, okay, now I know. Now I just don't know how long it's going to be. And it was funny because I was with all this is going on, there was all these conspiracy theories were going around about why Facebook was down and what's going on and all that. And so, I kind of have my own suspicions as well. I got a conspiracy theory about it, and you know what? I'm gonna, I'll let y'all know what my conspiracy theory is. But before we get to that, let's hear a word from our friends with the Founding Project.
Hello, Trend Chat listeners. If you like the Founding Project's Civics Education video series, Civics for All Ages, and our educational meme series, we think you will love our new website. Join us at thefoundingproject.com and be a part of the civics movement. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Please join us today.
Politics and other stuff, maybe. This is Trend Chat with your host, Brian Bledsoe.
Yeah. Woo. All right. Yeah. I had my best air guitar. I mean, that gets you pumped. I get my inner Alex Jones about to come out. So, I almost forgot what I'm about to talk about. What was it? Oh, okay. I am struggling. Okay, I shouldn't have played that song. I was all into it, But so Facebook was down. And so, I got my own little theory about it. Yeah, here's my conspiracy theory. I think Marvel had something to do with it, or Disney. Yep, I think Disney was the cause of it, because they're going to create a scenario where there's a worldwide panic, right? They're going to shut down the world's largest social media platform, basically make people feel like, half the world has been evaporated in a snap. And then, because today, as I mentioned earlier, the Marvel Endgame trailer come out. So that's my conspiracy theory. I think Disney has something to do with it. Yeah, hashtag that. What Disney calls Facebook crash. Hashtag Disney Facebook crash. Something like that. Yeah. So, so in that trailer, they finally showed Captain Marvel, which makes sense because they wanted to wait till Captain Marvel came out. And then also, I think, want to make sure that it actually, did good in the box office. Because I would not be surprised they probably had a different cut if Captain Marvel flopped or something. Maybe they would have done something different. I don't know. But anyway, we'll never know, because it was historic as far as how much it made, as far as a female-led superhero movie. It did more than Wonder Woman. And so, as I mentioned, we saw it last week. And first off, I'll say, just going back, whether we're talking about Black Panther being like the first, I guess it wasn't the first, but I guess the first, highly budgeted black superhero movie, put it that way. Because I mean, you had Blade and all that, but apparently that was separate from Black Panther. Whatever. So, but now you had Captain Marvel, which is not the first really, but still it's the first Marvel female superhero movie. And I would say I said 3 out of 5, 6.5 out of 10, or something like that. That's how I saw it. It is a good movie. If you like Marvel movies, you'll like this. And I will say, first off, the the tribute that they gave to Stan Lee at the beginning was just great. That was really heartwarming, and that was great to see. You would just have to see it to know what I'm talking about. But I really appreciated seeing that. That was cool. And also with first off, I guess let me say this: given what has been said by Captain Marvel herself, Brie Larson, so whatever I'm about to say right now, I guess what should be not be taken as what I say doesn't really count as much if I was a black lesbian Muslim, black lesbian Muslim, a black disabled Muslim lesbian or whatever. I mean, in the whole realm of intersectionality. So because I'm black, so I have some sway because I'm on their level. But then again, because I'm conservative, that probably makes me worse than white. So on the scale, I'm a black conservative Christian male. So I got a little bit being black, but like I said, with the conservative Christian male, so who knows? I'm probably worse than white in their eyes. So my opinion probably for them doesn't matter. But I just want to put that out there because that's how they're going to look at it. Either way, in this movie, I would say one thing, I think the critics were more honest about this movie than they were for whether it was Black Panther or Wonder Woman. Even though I think in watching this, Wonder Woman was better than this one. But not by a lot, but if I was picking which one I like more, I liked Wonder Woman better. But yeah, I feel like the critics were a little more honest, mainly because this is the second female, I guess in the modern era, if you want to say in the past 10 years, the first one being Wonder Woman was 2 years ago. Now you have this one. So I think they feel like they can actually be more objective in their criticism as opposed to kind of like Black Panther or like Wonder Woman just felt the need because, the intersectional left would just have a conniption if you said anything negative about these movies because, of the representation that it shows, and you got to make sure you don't say anything bad about these movies because it's all great, regardless of anything. And don't get me wrong, I thought they both were good movies, but I really felt like the praise for those two movies, Black Panther and Wonder Woman, were just a little over the top. But in this case, this was a little more honest, I felt like, because they didn't give it like they didn't go overboard with the praise. They said it was great. They said it was good, but they didn't like, oh, this is just the greatest moment for women or whatever. So, anyway, for me, one thing, well, I guess one quote that there's plenty of quotes from Brie Larson, but as far as what she said about this being a feminist movie, yes, you can definitely see it's a feminist movie in that sense, especially in the fact that when you think about the plight of the hero in the movie, whether it was Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman, or Black Panther, or whatever, or Thor, or whatever, there tends to be some struggle, or there tends to be some the focus of what brings them to being, or brings them to knowing who they really are, and wants to, when they find their true power and become, had a heroic moment at the end, they like, yes, I am Iron Man, or I am whoever, and then they just then they go into battle and just, kick butt. So like for Batman, you had like what happened with his parents, and and that was driving him, and feeling, and how he was feeling about growing up with with his parents, dying the way they did, and then with Superman, because he feels alone because he's from another world and having to deal with that and being an outsider, and just on and on. It feel like all of these other stories. Even Black Panther. Black Panther was dealing with becoming, trying to learn how to be not only a hero, but be a king of a nation after his father died and all that. And so all these things were very personal, right? They were like really connected to that man or woman or whatever. But in Captain Marvel, it wasn't really so much that. It was basically feminism and just being a woman, not being Carol Danvers, just being a woman in general was the focus. Now, there were other things that were a part of it as well. There was betrayal and whatever like that. But all those things were secondary. The primary focus, the catalyst that Carol Danvers realized that I am Captain Marvel, that I have got to this point that I feel like I am the hero of this movie or whatnot, was basically just being a woman. Because I've grown up because people have told me this and that, and I don't want to listen to that anymore. And it's like I said, it was all about basically just feminism and just being a woman. That was enough for her to get the will and whatnot to come to her own and really realize that she is this great superhero. So yeah, that's why where I would say as far as feminism, how it was a very major focus of the whole movie. Really kept having little scenes that was kind of pointing to that, and then it kind of came together at the end. So anyway, you'll see that if you watch it. And I know another thing in particular that stuck out too is like they did this whole little de-aging process on Samuel Jackson, because I mean, if you don't know, Samuel Jackson is pretty, he's in 60s or 70s, and but he played in this movie, so they had to, and this movie is set in the 90s, so they had to de-age his face for the scenes in this movie, and they did a great job. It was awesome. I mean, I looked at him like, wow, they did it was great how they was able to do that. But on the other hand, there was another actor on there that had his face, de-aged as well. Who his name is Clark Gregg, who plays Agent Coulson, and in the Avengers movies, and he was in the movie too. And his was okay. There were some parts where it didn't look so well. Like it was like they didn't put as much detail. They didn't spend as much time on him, which makes sense because he wasn't in the movie that much. But still, the time he was in, it didn't look right for the time he was in, especially if he was in the background or something like that. It looked funny in some scenes. Now look, I mentioned that if you never hear this and you probably just saw the movie, you wouldn't thought twice about it. It just something I was looking at and it just stuck out to me. But yeah, that's my review of Captain Marvel. And like I said, I give it a 3 out of 5. I'll probably see it again before Avengers Endgame. Like I said, I think it was a good movie, and I will look forward to Captain Marvel 2, which I kind of hope will be this was set in the 90s. I kind of hope the next one will be set in the 2000s. And then 3 will be into the present day or whatnot. But look, I ain't finna get into all that. Like I said, maybe we'll have someone on and we'll dive into all that in that particular episode. But now I guess after a little break here, I'll get into what I was mentioning. I guess basically the title of this podcast as well, talking about being what it's like to be a black conservative. But before we get into that, I do want to I just can't thank enough. I just can't be grateful enough to the people that have supported us. And I'm just going to use this time right now just to mention with Culture of Life 1972. Like, they have come on as a partner, and they're supporting the podcast, and I just, can't thank them enough for that. And so Col1972.com, so COL1972.com, and it's, I would say, it's basically a pro-life fashion line. So I would say check them out, COL1972.com, and check them out. Check out their, shirts and bags and all of that. And if you like what you see, I'm pretty sure you will. And if you want to, let me put it this way: if you purchase something on the website and put in the code TrendChat, like TrendChat, like the name of the podcast, TrendChat, you'll get 10% off. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think everything is 50% off right now. And so you'll get an extra 10% off if you put in the code TrendChat. So check them out. And also, ODGapparel.com make great Christian gear. I got the Stop Being Dead hat on, and they got the Stop Being Dead shirts. They have mugs, they have socks, all sorts of Christian apparel. And basically it's stylish, trendy, basically making the point that Christian apparel don't have to be lame. It doesn't have to be just putting a bumper sticker on a shirt and just making it. That's it. That should put some thought into the design and everything. And so with ODGapparel.com, if you put in the code TrendChat10, so now if you go on there, it's TrendChat, the number 10, you get 10% off there. So appreciate them coming on as well. Also, 1776united.com. Great patriotic gear, Second Amendment, all of that. Anything from just whether it's shirts, mugs, hats. Now I have the Don't Tread on Me shirt, the Gadsden, like the Gadsden flag. Like I have that shirt. I have the Gadsden flag hat with the 1776 United hat, and under the bill it has the Gadsden flag. You probably, if you ever seen me at CPAC or other events, you probably seen me with that hat, especially lately. As normally I wear that all the time, either that or the Stop Being Dead from ODGapparel.com. But yeah, so they have great, just like I mentioned with ODG Apparel. So they have great, stylish, trendy, patriotic gear. And if you now for 1776united.com, if you go there and put in the code 76militia, MILITIA dash TrendChat, you put that in, you get 20% off your first purchase. So I would appreciate you check all of them out. Now, normally I would try to spread those out throughout the podcast, but I wanted to bring them all in. I'll make sure, I just want to, because I really appreciate all of them just partnering up with us. I can't thank them enough, and I'll keep, I keep advertising this as much as possible, because I appreciate them just being there for us and being supportive. So, but let's get to it. But before we get there, let's hear another word from our friends from the Founding Project.
Hello to fans of Trend Chat and Brian Bledsoe. The Founding Project, an education nonprofit dedicated to civics, invites you to visit our brand new website. Visit us at thefoundingproject.com. Be a part of the civics movement with The Founding Project. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Please join us today.
All right. So, as I mentioned last week when we played all our interviews from CPAC, we were able to film a couple of, I guess, segments for Blaze TV, which was kind of cool. I really appreciated that. So I've been posting all of that. So the little comedy skits that was going on that I was a part of, that was funny, which at the time when they were going on, I figured I would be in it. I just didn't know where I'll see it. And then some people were sending it to me and like, oh, there it is. And, but yeah, so now another thing that I, filmed was a segment for, Chad Prather's show on Blaze TV called Humor Me. And it was like a segment where they talked to three black people, three black guys now, think about it. And they asked them the question, what it's like to be a black conservative. And so I said a couple of words, other guys said a couple of words. And so it was all together probably maybe about a minute between all of us back and forth. And so, and it's funny because, so later on that night, I got a chance to meet with some of the people with the show, Chad Prather show, and we got to talking. And I was just talking about that particular segment, and honestly, I didn't feel like I did particularly well. That's just how I am. I don't know. But they said it was good, and some people that have seen it said it was good. So, I mean, if you want to check it out, it's on Watch Chad Prather on Facebook. Watch, you can see it there, and it's under the name of it. We go to CPAC, and still, if you're listening to this like when this is out in Thursday, March 14th, so it should be right at the top. But it's the one with John Miller and Diamond and Silk are part of it as well. Maybe that'll make it easier to find it. So I'm in that episode. So, and like I said, I got talking to some of the guys with the show, and I mentioned one thing in particular that not only that I felt like I didn't do particularly well, mainly because whether it's them, now this has nothing to do with with them having me on, but it's just like if I go on any show or just whatever, and if someone wants to bring me on and talk about what it's like being a black conservative, a lot of times I have no problem doing it, but I will say I'm like probably the worst person to talk about that in particular, because if you haven't noticed on Trend Chat, I don't talk a lot about race at all. If you look at all the stuff we talk about, I mean, yes, mostly political. Yes, we talk about Avengers or Star Wars or whatever like that, or whatever. But you rarely hear me just talk about race. And the reason for it is because, kind of like what I said in the very beginning, like, what is it like being a black conservative? I really don't know, because I don't care that much, honestly. Because for me, it's when I noticed I was, if you want to put a label on it, saying I'm conservative, when I formulated and articulated my principles, I didn't check to see which race agreed with it. It wasn't like, okay, well, I think abortion is wrong, and I think we should have limited government and have and stop legal immigration and have lower taxes. And when I came to these conclusions, I didn't think like, I wonder what black people think about that, or I wonder what white people think about that. I wonder what Hispanic people think about that. It wasn't about that. I could care less who liked it or didn't like it. It wasn't about the race. It was about the principle. So when I came to these conclusions, and then I saw which side was closer to these principles that I believe in, that's where I went. I didn't give not one thought about whether black people liked it or white people liked it. I just went that way with whatever that agree with the principles that I agree with, that I believe in. So, and I've been that way since I've been involved. And because, well, black people don't apparently don't vote that way. I would say don't vote according to that these principles, even though most of these things black people probably normally would agree. But I see time and time again, you can go down a list of all these principles that I just listed off and other things as well, and a black person will probably agree with all these things, but as soon as you reveal which party actually align with those principles, all of a sudden it's just like it's like they go blind all of a sudden. It's like they go bird box and they just put the blinders on like, nope, no, I don't agree with it now, even though I just agree with everything that you just said. But now you said those things are connected with the Republican Party and all those things are totally antithetical to the Democratic Party. I'm just going to just totally ignore what you just said and just keep voting Democrat. That's normally how it goes. And so now that's what I was saying, as far as this is going to be a lot different than what you hear, because for me, being a black conservative is not something I really think much about, because one, so a lot of times you tend to hear stories like, when I became a conservative or came out and, came public with my views, and so friends started, defriending me or unfriending me on social media, and people called me this and called my dad and they called me this name, and these people just treat me like whatever. And so for me, okay, yeah, that happened, but I don't really, okay, whatever. Because at first, when all those so-called friends were unfriending me on Facebook and Twitter or whatever, I could care less. So that's why for me, when I'm talking about this, because it's something when they left, okay, oh well. So I get messages about you, Uncle Tom, you this and that. So a lot of times, most of the time it's people that don't know me, and just all of a sudden just making this insult to someone they don't know. So why am I going to give them any second thought? You have no clue who I am, and yet you're just going to come out and say, oh, you just hate yourself. You don't even know me. So when I see that, I'm just like, either I'll laugh. It depends how much they're insulting, because sometimes I might just laugh at it like, wow, you just stupid. But and I just laugh it off and just move on. I mean, I don't engage with them for what? I mean, they have already made their mind up, and they're not looking to have a discussion or civil discussion, starting off by calling me Uncle Tom or Oreo or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, on to the next, and and just move on. I don't even respond. And so stuff like that, I just, whatever. And I don't really have an emotional response to a lot of it, because most of this stuff I can care less about. All the little nasty little comments and snide remarks or whatever like that, I'm like, when someone says, I just look at them over like, whatever. Like, I don't care what you think. A lot of times I'm like, for one, I consider the source. So if they don't know me and they have no clue in wanting to know me and wanting to already make that judgment, then what's the point in even being upset with what they think? So I just shrug it off. I just don't care. And now another thing about this, I guess let's see how much time we got. Got a couple of minutes. Man, I talk a lot. I just noticed, man, I got 45 minutes, and here we are. We all talked about Captain Marvel and all this, and here we are. We got 40 minutes, and here we are now. I'm crunching to get this last point. But I guess that's why I got a podcast, so you could talk a lot. But I know one thing when it comes to being a black conservative in particular, and having to, I guess, talk about that. It kind of brings up another thing that I hate about politics in particular. And again, this has nothing to do with the people who asked me to come on to go on their show and talk about it. I have no problem with that. I understand that this is something that needs to be said. I do understand that. My thing is that I hate the fact that it has to be said. I hate that the fact that I have to be the one to, I'm just saying just like a black person in particular. Just why do I have to be the one to have to make this statement about because of what goes on. And so, and the thing that I hate about it is that, so if you listen to, I forgot what episode it was, but the one thing I hate about politics that I've mentioned before is that the people that treat politics like it's a game, like it's a game of Monopoly to them, which in a lot of cases, maybe if to some of these people it is, because they have that much money where they can just basically, whether they're giving money to politicians here and there and just trying to shape policy because they want to make money or whatever. And so like that goes, both sides, as far as that happening. And they just treat the whole political process like it's a game, again, like it's a big game of Monopoly to them, but they just throwing money around, and that's how they see it. And I hate that some people play it that way. Some people literally look at politics like this is fantasy football or something. And when I hear people talk about it that way, if I'm in that conversation and people start talking away, I'm not finna even engage in that sort of conversation, because this is not a game. All this that's going on in Washington right now, even if it's Washington or even if it's Austin or, pick your capital or your local government, all these things affect real people, and it's not a game. And so when people start talking about it like it's I hate that. So the second thing that I really hate is talking about, as far as when I'm talking about being a black conservative, I hate the fact that because I am from a particular ethnic group, for some reason, that's supposed to give me more, my opinion or what I say, more weight than someone else of another race. So, put it this way. So, a lot of times you'll hear people want to say like, well, we need you to go out into the community because people will listen to you because you're black. Basically, I mean, they'll say it in other ways, but they'll basically just say, well, we need someone like you to speak to other people that look like you. So they're actually listening to what they're saying, to the principles. And that's what I hate. I hate that right there, because how in the world you going to think that, why do my opinion carry more weight just for the simple fact because of the color of my skin? If a white person can say the exact same thing that I said, and all of a sudden you want to all of a sudden go along with what I'm saying just because we look the same, like, that's stupid and you're racist. And I don't care if you're talking about white people or black people. So that's the second thing I really hate. And having to, basically, I need to be brought in so people can actually listen. If they don't want to listen to someone else, that's their ignorance. But unfortunately, that is the case. And so that's why I don't have a problem with people wanting to bring me in. I hate the fact that even exists, that I have that I'm the person that's supposed to bring people in when they're too ignorant to want to listen to someone else just because they're the color of the person's skin. So, but anyway, it just, yeah, I'm glad I'm at the end because we're basically done anyway. And if I just kept going on, it basically just turned into a rant. But guess we don't have too much. I don't know what's going to be on next week. So anyway, I appreciate everyone listening in. Like, share, subscribe. If you like all of this, please just, tell your friends and family and share it, subscribe, like everything. Appreciate everyone. And until next week, we'll chat with you later.